Hey guys, some stupid sketch show guy here with another prehistoric figure review, and today's prehistoric figure review is going to be about Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, as their 4th season will be premiering tonight on December 3rd, 2021. So to get myself in the mood, I'll be reviewing this season's golden boy, Spinosaurus. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first up, as always, we have the Paintjob, which is quite clearly based off the original Kenner Jurassic Park Spinosaurus. Nah, I'm just messing with you. It's clearly the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus, and it does an alright job. Like, you can clearly tell that it is the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus, and it's solid enough, but could it be done better? Absolutely. The reason why I know this is because practically every Jurassic Park repainter on the planet has repainted this figure better than Mattel themselves, which is kinda sad. Like, the paint application itself feels mildly cheap. Like, it's decent, but it feels snubbed of its full potential, which is unfortunate because this is the most widely produced of the Spinosauruses. Even the Mattel Legacy Collection Spinosaurus, I think, had a slightly better paint job. But nothing beats the Jurassic Park repainters. And that's what's unfortunate about this figure. It's that the repainters can do way better paint jobs than Mattel themselves. Even so, it's still decent, but it has a lot of missed potential here. For that, I'll give the paint job a 7 out of 10. Next up, we have posability. And posability on this figure is quite good. The main places for posability are in the face and on the legs. Because, just like previous Mattel figures I've reviewed, this figure has 3 levels. Right now, it's at intermediate, then you can move it down, or you can move it all the way up, which is quite bold and quite intimidating to look at. And it looks pretty nice, although it does kind of look like those old kangaroo vintage dinosaurs from the 1910s. But intermediate's still pretty cool. As well as that, the face posability is really nice as well. You can make it look right, you can make it look left, you can make it look up, and you can make it look down, which adds to quite a lot of combinations of really good poses that I've been able to use in some of my photos, as you can see here. So, posability is quite nice. The only thing that is a bit of a problem, though, is stability, as the figure can lose its balance if you don't do a few things. Like right now, to make it more stable, I had to twist the leg inward. And this does help solve the problem, but if you keep the leg, say, at this level, then it's going to be very wobbly and it's probably going to fall over. But besides that nitpick, posability is certainly a great feature on this figure, and for that, I give it an 8 out of 10. In a similar vein, we now go to articulation, which is nice, but just like the posability, isn't perfect. The upper posability is smooth in a lot of areas, such as the upper arm joint movement is pretty nice. However, it gets quite stiff when you try moving it outward. As you can see, dang, this takes a lot of strength. There we go. Yeah, now you can kind of see that it's a lot harder to make the arms point outward as, say, moving them up and down. Although, the face articulation is definitely the best part, as it's very smooth and very nice. It feels really cool, like, you could do some legitimate good stop motion with this. I mean, I've seen it. Look, I'm looking at you, Suki Demimus. So, the face articulation is definitely the best articulation. However, if we move down, the articulation in the legs is a bit stiff. As you heard with the posability, there's definitely a lot of noise when you do that, or when you do that. So, yeah, it's pretty unsubtle that the legs are quite stiff. And you might say, oh, well, every figure does that. Well, I'd have to disagree, as the Control and Conquer Carnotaurus, for example, is smooth like butter and stays perfectly still. However, this figure is a lot stiffer and a lot rougher when it comes to leg articulation. Although, the leg joint movements are a little better, but not perfect. Also, the tail articulation is pretty nice. I mean, it's on a ball joint, what do you expect? So, it's an overall mixed bag when it comes to articulation. There are some nice smooth parts like the face and tail, and then there's some stiff elements like the outer arm movement and especially the legs. And I almost forgot, the action feature. The action feature here isn't really that exceptional, it's just a rawr. You know, it's cool, kids will definitely enjoy it, but it's unfortunate that you can't keep the mouth open without constant pressure being applied or shoving a stick down here. I think anyone who's taken a picture with this thing's mouth open can relate to that pain. Photoshop is a miracle. But besides that, it's a cool button, you know, it's a solid enough feature, but nothing too exceptional. It's just alright. I prefer certain action features a bit more. And with all that jazz out of the way, I give the articulation and action feature a 7.5 out of 10. And lastly, we have the detail, which is alright. As we go into the mouth here, we have some nice little mouth ridges on both the top and the bottom jaws here, and this silly viper tongue and these silly little peg teeth, which look a bit ridiculous. It's alright, I mean, at least the detail's there. As we go into the face here, the best detail is right here on the top jaw, as it's more subtle and nuanced than the rest of the figure's detail. It's pretty nice to look at. Then we have the bottom jaw, which is a bit scalier and matches the tone of the rest of the figure, which is nice big scales covering the entire body, which is pretty nice and does give this figure a crocodilian feel, but it also looks a little cheap. Like, the detail on this figure, it looks alright, but something about it just makes it feel cheap. Like, if this was on a model with all these scales and all of that, I think it would have looked a lot better, but obviously Mattel's an action figure company, not a model company, so the detail looks a little big and goofy, and doesn't really look as good as you would think for all the little details I'm telling you about. As well as that, the sail is alright, but this seam line here is kind of annoying, and I don't really like that seam line. That's annoying. There's a lot of just annoying little action figure parts that make this figure seem less impressive than it actually is for all the detail that Mattel did put into this. And it is a big improvement from 2020, where the Mattel figures would have nice detailed heads and then they'd just be smoother down the way. So good job for Mattel, but unfortunately, action figures do have their downsides. And for that, I give the detail a 7 out of 10. And now for my final review. The paint job is done decently, however it's been done better by multiple different sources. The posability is quite varied and versatile, however, if you don't take the right precautions, it can get a little shaky and unstable. The articulation and action feature are decent, however they do have their stiff points, and the detail, while it is nice and consistent, does have a cheap finish. And for that, I give the Camp Cretaceous Spinosaurus a 7.5 out of 10. It's a decent figure, and I do like it. However, there are a lot of places where the figure could have been done better. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you all are excited for Camp Cretaceous Season 4. See you guys next time.